Hello.
Hello?
Mark, is that you?
Hello?
That is
No, this is Ed with LJP.
All right. We hear you.
But you're cutting out.
Hello. Hello?
Mark, is that
Hello?
Hello. I'm just trying to figure out what to do here.
Okay.
Participants. Share.
I see you, Doc. You're out there.
Yep,
All right.
I'm here.
Brian, this is Pete. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Would I press invite on here?
I got you, Mark. You're there.
You're there.
Don't press
Okay.
nothing. You're good.
All right.
Now you're muted, Pete. And I can't. There you go.
I don't have video though. I don't know
That's
why
okay.
it says. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You did have video to start with, but now you just got Pete there, so you're good.
Hello, Diane.
There you are, Pete. Now you got.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay.
All right, Pete, before we go, I'm going to let you know we've got representatives from LJP and Waste Management on for the solid waste RFP review. So I'll keep muted unless you have questions, and then we can unmute them.
Okay, do we want to jump to them right away, being that we got that storm water pond thing to go through? Should we just get them? Do we want to go to them right away, or what's your thought?
Well, I think I guess it's up to the board. If the board wants to switch them around, the board can do that when they adopt the agenda.
Okay, well, let's call the meeting to order. We'll take roll call.
All are here.
Okay. I'll need a motion to adopt the upcoming agenda for the June 4th meeting, Public Works Advisory Board meeting.
I'll make a
move.
motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. We want to do the same as Brian? You kind of just always ask us, or how do you want to do that?
Yep, I'll do the roll for you. Mike,
Okay, thank
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Pete.
you. Yes. Okay,
Carry.
I'll need, oh, what was that?
Go ahead.
We'll need a motion to approve the meetings from the last meeting minutes from last May 2020. I can't get a motion.
I move to approve the minutes of the May meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
And so we go roll call again. Lynn,
Yes.
Diane, Mark,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Pete.
Yes.
Carries.
Okay, being that we do have personnel for, in regards to that, our solid waste RFP, do we want to jump to them right away, or do we want to just follow the order and go 4.1? Doesn't matter to me either
No.
way.
The goldfish thing should be pretty quick.
All right, let's move on to it then. 4.1, preserve stormwater pond goldfish eradication. I reviewed it a little bit, the notes. Is Chris with us, or?
Yes.
I guess we can talk. I'm looking at it. There was a couple different options. You got to work with the DNR. We're gonna have to work closely with them, but just looking for it. it was the last option that you looked like was the best.
Yeah, I've got the memo up on the screen right now. Basically, a synopsis. We have a very large number of goldfish, koi in our preserved pond. Some of them are quite large, anywhere from 3 to 4 inches long, and then they got a whole bunch of little ones. They are spilling. I was down there last night. They are spilling into the large wetland area, but that's a lot shallower, so I don't think there's a big concern there. And there was someone that mentioned that they believe that maybe people were transporting them from one pond to another as well. So, which would not be a good thing. In any case, and I'll have Chris jump in here right after I'm done here. Basically, there's not very many treatments available. Chris did talk with Mankato as well as the DNR, and I'll let him take over from this point, and he can tell you what he discovered. And we did talk to the Park Commission about it, and let them know what we were planning to do. So Chris, take it away.
So, and as everybody knows, we have goldfish in our detention ponds. Talking with Mankato, as you guys have seen in the memo, draining the ponds down and letting the goldfish go into the mud and freeze out is our best option. Most of those ponds down there, they're about 4.5 to 5 feet deep out in the center. So we'll have to work on permitting, and that will be done late fall, right before freeze up. So that's how we can eradicate them. And this might actually take 2 to maybe 3 times. So all depends. Any other questions on it?
Butch, got your hand raised. Go ahead, Butch.
Would it be a good time to think about dredging any of the ponds if they need it?
I went out there with our settleometer, or not settleometer, our sludge judge from the wastewater plant. There's minimal sediment in there. So at this time, I would say no.
Hey, Tom.
Excuse me.
I just wanted to follow up that there has been some transfer of fish. I live down in this area and I witnessed it, and I've educated the young lads that were doing that's not a good thing to do. So I just want the board to know that there has been at least 24 that were transferred from the south pond to the north pond.
Oh, geez.
So like I said, I spent some time with the young gentlemen and explained the situation, and they, of course, they were aware of it, and they were concerned they would get in trouble. I didn't think it warranted anything but just to make sure that they don't do that anymore. So we're kind of keeping an eye on it over on this side of town when we're walking down there.
Chris, do you know the depth of that second pond? It doesn't seem like it's as deep as the other one.
4 to 5 feet.
Both of them are?
Yep.
Okay.
The deepest one is across the over into Barnett's subdivision, more across the main road there. That one's about 6.5, 7 feet.
So that one we could put fish in. We could put some largemouth bass in that one and put a little fishing dock out.
Sure, if you really want to.
Is this going to require rental equipment, pumps?
Possible. I think I can do it with the 2.5 pump that we have. It might just going to take a little bit longer. It all depends on how much rain we get end of fall, that way too. So
Yeah.
Where are you gonna put the water, Chris?
out into that
Just gonna-
big pond, out into the big slough there.
You should, you can pump pretty fast with a fire truck. Just an option. You can draft.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're not going to be able to get a fire. You're not going to be able to get a fire truck in there, I don't think.
I've had to carry a lot of hose in my day. Me too.
It's not fun, but I don't,
Anyway, I just thought I'd throw out there. Seems like that's the best thing to do is drain it after I read through it. I mean, a chemical doesn't seem like a good idea. Netting doesn't even seem feasible. And I don't know about the
Yeah.
predator fish, but so I guess.
There's no other option.
Well, the DNR did suggest the predator fish, and they will stock it as long as you allow fishing, and that's what they offered to the Mankato and some others. But the depth of the water is not enough to make it work. So then that's where we get to draining.
yep, so just hear more about this probably late fall when we get ready to go on it.
Any other questions?
We're gonna need a motion on this, I take it? Or do we need to?
Probably not at this point.
Okay.
It's more of a update on what we plan to do.
Okay. Any more further discussion on that, on the stormwater pond? No more discussion on that? We can move on?
Yep.
Agreed.
Agree.
Okay. We will move on to 4.2, the solid waste request for proposal review. I've reviewed some of the memos from Waste Management and LJP. And Brian, did you want to bring some other personnel into the discussion or?
Well, I think what we'll do, the best way to do this is to have the board, kind of go through their discussion. And then if you have questions of LJP or Waste Management, they're here and you can ask those questions and then we'll allow them to answer the question and then you can go from there. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Is that all right, Pete?
That's fine with me.
All right. So I'm gonna just briefly go through the brief memo here. We did submit or send out RFPs for solid waste services for the city. I believe Waste Management has been the city's contracted collector for 15, 20 years. What we're looking at as far as the evaluation of the RFP, in addition to overall cost, we're also looking at completeness of the proposal, responses and completeness of responses in specific areas, experience and contacts or contracts with other clients, and then feedback from references. I did speak with St. Peter administrator. They switched from Waste Management to LJP. They've had fairly good success over the last 5 or 6 years of switching. The one difference that this city has is they don't do any of they do all the billing, where the city of Montgomery does not do billing. We won't bill for the hauler. I talked to City of Rockford. They have Waste Management. They have a similar experience to our experience with Waste Management. So there's really not much difference from a feedback standpoint. Cost, you see that Waste Management is a little higher than the proposed prices of LJP. Waste Management has a price inflator every year at 2.5%, where LJP did not indicate any kind of price inflator. I did ask a clarifying question of Waste Management when I was reviewing this. They have a fuel surcharge listed in their proposal, and I asked, they use compressed natural gas vehicles, and there's no diesel. And so I asked about the diesel fuel charge or surcharge, and that would not be on the proposal because they have the compressed natural gas. Annual cleanup, the annual cleanup cost for the city, based on our past experience, Waste Management would be a little less expensive overall for the annual cleanup than LJP. Also the bag service, the drive-by is a little more for Waste Management, but the cost of the bag for the customer is a little less through Waste Management. Recycling, there's two different prices for LJP, where Waste Management has a single rate. You can have 1 can, 2 cans, it doesn't matter. It's going to be the $5.25 for the recycling collection regardless. Other items, we asked about customer service and their response to customers. I did include both proposals, so if you went through them, then you would see the different responses on those proposals. So what we have for options for the board, one, you could, after the discussion, you could recommend to the council contract with one of the haulers, and then we can sit down and negotiate the details of the agreement. Second would be to reject all the proposals and reissue the RFP and see if we get some more haulers that would be interested in submitting proposals. Develop a supplemental questions that you may have and provide them to each company, or schedule interviews or individual discussions with the haulers. So what questions or comments do board members have on the proposals?
I don't have any questions. I was just kind of happy to see all those value-added donations that they provide. I mean, there's 8 of them there. They donate to the library, looks like. They donate to the Torchlight, TCU, Klotchke Days. I mean, I think there's some value to that.
Mr. Eisert has his hand up, so unmute yourself and go ahead.
I just want to say, in this consideration, not to just strictly consider on cost. I can't speak for LJP because we haven't done business with them before. But there's one thing with Waste Management that you see continuing for everything, whether it's the TCU trap team or whether it's the Holy Redeemer School. They're a sponsor to everything and just about every single event that happens in town, not just the big two, you know, like the Klotchke Days and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be a tough decision for the board, but I think that has to be taken into consideration. They are a big partner with the city. So I personally am hoping that the decision isn't made based on cost alone, because there is some factors there's other factors that are in there that I think need to really be considered. And I know like I said, I mean, every time you see anything, any event, the top sponsor is always Waste Management. And I think that is a good partnership with the city. I would, if the city chooses to go with a different provider, I would hope that that those kind of partnerships would continue on. But there's one thing we can say with past experience, that Waste Management has been very supportive of Montgomery, and that's all I have to say. So thank you.
Butch has his hand raised, so go ahead and unmute yourself. And
yeah, I understand, you know, the donation parts of it too. But I don't know what's all in the our agreement with Waste Management, if there's some of that that's in the agreement that we sign with them, or if it's just more of a their own personal preference that Waste Management is doing at their locations.
So the agreement that was executed and it has, that Waste Management is operating under, we used similar information in the draft agreement. And we do indicate that the hauler will provide support to, well, the company is going to provide free services for the Kalachki Days, as well as, let's see, we got the Torchlight Parade and music in the park, but we don't require participation or support of TCU events or the Trap Club or any of those other things. We specifically specify in the agreement that free garbage collection, the provision of carts and the number that are required by the community club for the Torchlight Parade, for Kalachki Weekend, and then we're going to be doing the music in the park on a regular basis. We hope we can get back to doing that. And so they would be asked to provide that as well, in addition to providing collection services at all of our parks, as well as the city facilities.
Say that included TCU field events out there?
It did, we don't include anything with regard to the school, just city events.
Okay.
So if Waste Management is providing those services to the school or providing donations to those events and organizations, then that's something that they are doing over and above what is required in the agreement.
Okay, so they're doing that on their own then?
Yeah, if they're doing it, they would be doing it as a part of a corporate contribution. So Tom, you got your hand up again? Go ahead.
It is, I think I saw Chuck was with us. Is he on?
Yeah, Chuck is here.
You know, I guess I would ask if he'd be willing to, you know, kind of include some of the events that, and some of the things that the Waste Management does sponsor. Like I said, I know they were big into the Night to Unite last year, and I believe they donated to the Joyride. Like I said, it's their name's on everything, and that's above and beyond what the contract says. So I think that needs to consideration needs to be with those. But maybe Chuck can add some stuff there or some events that would be helpful, I think, for the board to understand all the things that they're involved in.
So Chuck, you're unmuted, so go ahead.
I am here. Yeah, we, well, our largest donation is to the library. And when the library was built, I don't know how many years ago that was, Brian, you probably weren't here, but it was a long time ago. We committed to the Right to Library Foundation of $5,000 a year, now for as long as we've had the contract. And so it probably goes back, like you said earlier, almost 20 years probably. So we've been doing that. And we also write $1,000 for the holiday parade. And then I know there's a program when the police have something with like truck safety or school safety. We always get a call and we donate to that. That's probably about $500 a year. All the service for Kalachki Days, you know, the roll-offs and the containers and the carts, you know, we place a value on that of about $2,500. And the other things, like you said, Tom, we get like requests all the time from organizations around town for fundraisers and things like that. And it's hard to say no. And in the school, we have a contract with the school. That's outside the city contract, as Brian said, but we're very involved with the schools. I know, Jay, what is that program officially entitled that we sponsor in the winter? Some kind of a anti-bullying program, I think, isn't it, Jay?
Yeah, it's a positive behavior initiative.
Okay, and so we've been doing that. We got hooked up with the school through Carol Lilla a couple of years ago. She was looking for some people to help contribute to that cause. And so when she came to us, we said, we'll take it all. And we did that. So we've got a great relationship with the school. Like you said, that's outside the community, our agreement with the city right now. But you got a lot of good things happen with us in the city, a good partnership on our part and yours.
It basically goes from anywhere from the Legion blood drive, if they needed handouts, to like Chuck said, the library donation. Last year, I think it was $1,000 for the mural project. So no, we're happy to partner with the community.
Pete, Mark has his hand up.
Yeah, I've been on a lot of boards and community things for my years here, from Mobilize Montgomery and Community Club, library, school, events, Kolachki Days, it goes on and on. But this corporate benefactor has been there to step up and take care of the waste that we've generated and just always been there as a tremendous partnership. And as we go forward into an era where maybe economics are going to be challenged a little more, we can count on them. When we don't know, we can count on the new guys. Plus, the service we've seen has very few complaints. They have a courteous, continuous and consistent service here in town. I have no financial interest, however, and I think it's a relationship we must guard and protect. I'm done.
Yep. Any other questions that you may have? I have a question for Ed at LJP. Are you capable of your company doing its own billing?
Absolutely. We have, we do a couple towns now, Nicollet and Cortland, we do our own billing, yes.
Okay.
And we also had the city of Janesville for a number of years, and we did all the billing there also.
Okay.
Yeah, we have plenty of staff here in our office to do all the billing.
I have a question for both companies. Do you guys have backup trucks to cover if one of your trucks goes down?
Yes, so we have backup trucks for everything. Our newer trucks are compressed gas, and then our backup trucks are diesel.
Okay.
We probably have at any given time residential trucks. We probably have 3 or 4 because we have 10 contracts right now. So we have 3 or 4 trucks at all times that are in the shop being repaired to replace the ones that are on the route.
Okay.
There's never been a day where we haven't finished a route in our history of LJP.
Mike, we also have Waste Management does have backup trucks. We're excited about the new compressed natural gas trucks that continue to roll into the lot. So we are expecting to roll those out in Montgomery. Was it third quarter?
Yeah, the fueling station should be done here in July, early August, and then we'll start getting the trucks in, so we should be ready to go Q3.
Yeah, hey guys, this is John Deemer, District Manager, Mankato. Actually, the fueling station is going to be done in about a week and a half. And we've got a brand new 2020 CNG truck in the yard getting ready to hit the road here any week now. So it's going to be sooner than later. It's pretty exciting. We're converting the whole fleet and putting in a fueling station. So it's pretty exciting.
Sounds good.
Any more discussion or?
I don't.
Nope, Butch got your hand up. Go ahead, Butch.
Question for LGP. In your other communities, do you have any, I know you sent some references over, but did any of those references include the donations to like schools or community events?
We do all the community events for all our cities, free of charge, and numerous amount of donations. I mean, I understand Waste Management's been in Montgomery many years. We didn't have any opportunity to do anything in Montgomery up till now, but we do lots of stuff all over town. A lot of businesses and all of our cities. We do donations a lot. I can't even tell you how many we do with all the 10 towns, but it's, football teams, track teams, baseball teams. St. Peter, we do quite a bit of donations for St. Peter, for different organizations. And our intention would be to do the same in Montgomery.
Thank you.
So I got a question for LJP. Can you walk me through how you deal with delinquent accounts?
Okay, so delinquency would be after 60 days. We would retain the container there. We would contact the customer, request payment. If after 60 days they don't make payment, then we wouldn't do service, but we wouldn't remove the container either. Then after they paid, we would also then start service again. Now, it's my understanding the city wouldn't be involved in this at all. We would take care of this ourselves. Unless you wanted somehow the city to be involved. And then, of course, we'd keep a record of that, of how many people were on credit hold. But it would have to be 60 days plus for us to put them on credit hold.
Okay.
Anything else? Any more discussion?
I'm good.
What would the board like to, how would the board like to move forward, I guess? Give us a recommendation here.
Anybody wish to make a motion?
I move we recommend to the council to continue the contract with Waste Management.
We have a second?
I think I saw Lynn trying to unmute you and it's not working. There. I think you have to do it yourself. I lost control.
Okay. I'll second Mark's motion.
Okay. We have a motion to continue to go with Waste Management and a second. We'll have to all in favor, and Brian, you'll take notes, or?
Mike?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Pete?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion carries. Okay.
Well, thank you all for joining us. If you want to stay for the rest of the meeting and learn about the 2021 and 2020 street projects, you're welcome. Otherwise, I guess you free to depart.
It's LJP. Thank you for the opportunity. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. I believe we can move on to old business, or is there any other discussion? 5.1, the 2020 street project.
I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Cavett. We did have a pre-con meeting this afternoon or this morning, so I'll turn it over to Chris and he can update the board on how we're progressing with that project. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, I'm assuming you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we held our pre-construction meeting today with Nielsen Blacktopping. They are scheduled to begin on Monday the 15th. They'll start up in the Welco area and they'll start with basically curb removals, curb replacements, installation of the drain tile in select areas, and installation of the sump drains, sump yard drains. You're looking at about a 3-week period to do, we'll call it the disruptive work, and to have that completed by before 4th of July. And then it looks as though there's going to be a pause there for probably about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks in July, until they can get a subcontractor lined up to do what they call an underseal. So what I'm getting at is they'll take care of the curb work, the trenching and drain tile, yard drains, patching the new curb in, getting it stabilized, and then waiting until July. They'll come in and do the milling and reclaiming in preparation of the final paving. So when I mentioned the subcontractor, there's a process that we're doing here on the overlay portions of the project. It's called a Texas underseal or underseal. And it actually is just like doing a seal coat on an old street. You do that as a prep work on the existing pavement before you actually pave the final layer. And what that's proven to do is actually reduces the reflective cracking that occurs. So whenever you do an overlay project, you always got existing cracks, and there'll be existing cracks that will reflect up on the new pavement, but you can reduce the amount of them and the severity of them by doing this underseal. So there's a number of communities that started doing this, and those that are doing it seem to find it very favorable and continue doing it. So anyway, between Brian, Chris, myself, we chose to bid it as an alternate, and again, the council did award that alternate to the contractor. So with that, they would expect to be done with the final paving probably about that first week of April or August, and then there'll probably be some final turf touch up and finish up work that may happen probably in the even early part of September. Usually we find before we do final acceptance on that may stretch into that period of time. Again, they're planning to do the turf establishment probably here in July, but it's just not the great time to do it. There's really no alternative other than to do it now and then kind of deal with how to make sure we got a good final product at the end, which usually brings it into early fall. Any questions on the 2020 project? Or anything I forgot? Okay.
You go to the fun one, Chris?
And ladies and gentlemen, we've had a few passengers ask about our next break stop. Folks, we're not going to have another opportunity to step off the train for a stretch or for a smoke until Winona, Minnesota, about 7:45 this evening. All the other stops are just passenger stops. If you're not leaving us at those stops, folks,
Got their
please don't come downstairs.
thing going on here.
Oh,
If you
it
need to
must
step
be
off the train,
Diane.
you
She's
might
on the train.
get left behind.
Oh, sorry.
Once again, Winona,
I didn't realize.
7:45 this evening. It's gonna be
Excuse
your next
me.
opportunity to step off the train.
I was on a train there.
Oh,
I'm
There
in
we go.
Wisconsin. I'm in Wisconsin and I lost a signal, but I think we're back together now.
yeah, you're back.
Okay. And you can hear me again still?
Yep.
Okay. Jumping, if there's no questions on the 2020 project, we'll jump to the 2021. It was our intention in our attempt to have bring the feasibility study to the May meeting, and we did lose a little hiccup and lost a little ground dealing with this COVID thing early on and getting some of the things done that we needed to. Our report is pretty much wrapped up or close to wrapped up. I haven't actually shared the final product yet with staff because we've added we're looking at a little bit of the comprehensive drainage over in the Welco area. I'm sorry, in the Circle Drive area. So we've evaluated the Circle Drive neighborhood area over there. The study also included looking at the golf course and the drainage in the golf course. We've modeled that. We've actually we held a conference call with a representative for the golf course, and they seem to be fairly receptive to one of the recommendations is to expand or basically there's a wetland there that's part of the stormwater facility where the neighborhood drains to, and it's filled in and with sediment over all the decades of drainage and stuff. We are recommending that be basically reestablished as an open water pond. It'll likely require some wetland permitting, but because of the way it's been used, we're not anticipating any issues as it relates to wetland. Again, we'll need to go through the process with the Corps of Engineers and the wetland process. And again, it sounds like the golf course is open to that. As part of our study, we were able to evaluate other improvements that they potentially could do, reinforce some of the things that they want to do, and so they've got information that they can work with. So I think it seemed positive. And I go, Brian, if you have any thoughts or comments on our discussion with the golf course.
No, and Chris and Shane were on that call as well. I think our concern here at the city was doing too much in the golf course that would put the city sort of responsible for maintaining and managing stormwater facilities in and around the golf course. We wanted to try and keep that at a minimum. And I think the plan or the proposal that the water resources person in Chris's office came up with makes some sense. And in fact, in looking at the stormwater modeling, doing additional work on the golf course with expanding ponds or making more ponds didn't seem to really do much in terms of preventing or alleviating storm flooding in the golf course. So I think the proposal for the golf course turned out to be a lot more desirable than what we had first maybe thought had to be done. So Chris, Shane, you have any addition to that?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So
I'm good.
Where we're at is we did hold a neighborhood meeting last week.
Yeah, last Thursday.
Yeah, it's all blending together here. And had a pretty good turnout. I was a little worried because we did it virtual with GoToMeeting. I believe we had about 20 attendees as well as staff. So it seemed to go pretty good. I know, Mark, you were on the call.
Yes, I thought it went well.
Okay, any feedback from the neighborhood or any comments from others?
Since I live in the area of that transition down between North Circle and the cul-de-sac and West Circle, we're still, the diagram was really a little small to read that day to see where does the PVC start and where the clay tile start in regard to the septic portion of it. Other than that, I thought the neighborhood was, there were no negatives that I've heard in the neighborhood from our meeting.
Okay, well, that's good. So yeah, so the one last thing that we're doing, it was kind of a little bit of an addition to the study. It was a little bit outside of our scope of work, but there's a lot of drainage that comes off of Midco and up in the Rogers Drive area. It goes into a storm system that all travels south down through Hickory, First Street, Second Street, down towards Boulevard, and then basically works its way across the tracks. And we know there's a lot of flooding. There's a lot of basically storm sewer that just does not have capacity. You just can't stick any more water in there. We did find, looking back at our records back in during the 2003 project when they did the Boulevard Avenue project. They evaluated some pipe size there, and they had actually evaluated a system that would be part of that neighborhood down there, the second, third, First Avenue or First Street neighborhood. So we have the pipe sizes that were evaluated at that time. And what we're looking at is if we could accomplish doing some ponding in or around the park, and or possibly on the Midco. Midco has a property on the corner where there's an old house. If anybody's familiar with that area over there. If there's an opportunity to do some type of ponding that'll actually provide relieve some of that pipe network that goes south down towards Boulevard, and maybe reduce pipe sizes and reduce some of the flooding that might occur. Obviously, taking some property from the park is a concern, so we're trying to find out what the impact would be, if it would be minor. And I know Brian brought up the idea, oh great, there's an ice skating rink opportunity. And actually it might be, because one of the things we'd be looking at as an opportunity would be doing what we call a filtration basin. So it's really a dry basin that fills up and then uses a drain tile system to kind of filter the water and let it back out slowly back out into the system. Something like that could potentially be used as a skating area. So that's kind of the last thing we're looking at. We'll pull everything together probably here by next week, because we want to get it to staff for time for review, and then have it on the agenda for the June 15th council meeting. Then the only question for the council at that time will be when we do a public hearing. If we wait for the next scheduled council meeting in July, or if there'd be some consideration to maybe moving that up and holding just a special meeting. It'd be virtual again, and maybe holding that a week after 4th of July. And that would be something the council would want to have to consider at the June 15th meeting.
So one of the things that I'm going to sort of elaborate on, and it has to do with the stormwater connection that Chris mentioned, and that is, goes down Hickory and that pipes into First Street, goes down First Street to, I believe, Mill, and then it cuts over and goes down Second Street into Boulevard, and then a whole bunch of little weird areas around there. We're planning the next project after this is scheduled, or was on the list, is doing what we refer to as the northwest area behind Casey's and basically north of Vine, south of Lexington, that area, and east of 4th Street. With this stormwater situation the way it is, we think that maybe we want to flip-flop that project with the Northeast project, which would be north of Boulevard, south of Hickory. Because if we're going to stub in a stormwater partway down or down Second Street for future addition, it might behoove us to do that sooner than later, rather than let it sit for another 4 years. The other complicating factor, particularly with that Northwest project, in 2023, the state is planning to reconstruct State Highway 13 from Milwaukee to about 7/10 of a mile north of North Welco Drive. And on their documentation that they have provided, it says reconstruction, ADA improvements, and lighting. And then just for your information, at 28 and 13, they're going to construct, or the proposal is to construct a roundabout just at that intersection, because that's been a fairly hazardous intersection. I think, Pete, you've probably been out there with the fire department a few times with traffic crashes and whatnot. So that's going to be a roundabout. But I think, and Chris and I, well, both Chris's and I talked a little bit about this, having a state project going down 13 at the same time, we're planning to do a major recon project to the west of 13. It will be a logistical nightmare for the residents and everybody else. So with the stormwater issue and with the state highway construction issue, we're thinking it might be best to do the northeast area in 2023 and push the northwest area out to 2025. So we just kind of toss that out for contemplation and maybe some questions and discussion.
I think it makes sense. You
Yeah.
don't want the congestion you'd have with two different entities trying to trip in and equipment and yeah, something, I mean, just my 2 cents. And it sounds like it makes good sense to flip flop those around.
Yeah, Butch, you got your hand raised?
This is, so what, refresh our memories as to the cost of the difference in the two projects.
Oh, that's an awesome question. They're roughly about the same cost. I'm gonna have to call that up and look at it quick. Let's see here.
I think it was something like 2 to 3. One was 2 million, the other one was 3 million, or 2.5 million to 3 million, or something. I can't really remember exactly, but
Yeah, let me bring it up real quick here. Do that last year. Okay, let's see. So the idea would be the northwest area was about 3.1 and 3.8. So they're within a few $100,000 cost. That answer your question, Butch?
yeah, I just wanted to refresh everybody on the committee's memory on that, so we're not thinking that, well, one project was 5 million and the other one was only 3 million. Are we going to have funds for it?
Yeah, they were both in that $3 million range.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on that, or?
Makes good sense.
Brian, just one quick question. As we get rolling on that circle area and all that, did anybody from Minnesota Valley Electric contact you at all? Just because I've brought it up, it's a golden opportunity to possibly convert all of that to underground.
I did speak to someone, forgot, I think so, about, geez, it's got to be almost a month ago. After you told me about it, and I did say that we would definitely keep them in the loop on this. So we'll make sure that we do that going forward, because we're still a little ways out, but I know you guys probably have to start planning too, so.
Yeah, I really.
We always will during the feasibility phase, once we get the report pretty much drafted, we reach out to all the utilities so we get it on the radar. And we'll be meeting with them if we do go into final design. We'll meet with them early on and do a design coordination meetings as well.
It just makes good sense to me, to our company. I mean, that's what I've suggested. I mean, if we're going to be doing all that, it just makes it look better. It's a lot more reliable. So, okay, well, good. Somebody did get a hold of you.
Yep.
That's what I'm after. Okay.
So I'll put a little I'll put a little document together for the next meeting. You can take a formal action to flip-flop those two projects, and then we'll get that information out.
Sounds good. Anything else? No surprises?
Well, what were
Everything-
there were some trucks working on the Hickory and Rogers Drive this week. So appeared to be some kind of pumping or tubing or maybe evaluating some sewers or water lines. Does that have to do with the drainage there?
Hey, you wanna hit that one?
Yeah, they were jetting and vacuuming those two Hickory and Rogers Drive, so we could see the infrastructure before we do the project, just in case there's something we have to add.
Yeah.
My
It's noted.
understanding from Shane and Chris was that one of the storm pipes up there on Rogers was really full of rock. And it took them,
Yes.
how long did it take them to get that cleaned out?
About an hour and a half is what I heard.
So that should hopefully help some of the drainage issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't look like we have anything else that I know of.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor? Brian?
Mike,
Yes.
Diane? Raising a hand. Mark,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Pete.
Yes. Motion's
All
adjourned.
right. Thank you all.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, nobody can get it to shut down. There it goes.
Not working.